Hi everybody, this is Mai, and this is a sequel video in me explaining why I'm no longer a feminist. And I stopped being a feminist over a year ago, and I figured that I wanted to speak out because a lot of people feel ashamed of leaving the movement or not labeling themselves as a feminist because they're afraid that people would call them either racist, transphobic, um, homophobic, or whatever. It just it just throws a lot of negative buzzwords at you, and you just feel more comfortable saying, "Oh yeah, I believe in feminism to an extent." But I gotta be real. I think the third wave feminist movement made me a more miserable and anxious person. It brought me no joy at all, and I'll tell you why, and why I stayed. Now, a year ago or so, I was hanging out with a lot of SJW people because they were at first, they were very nice and coddling to me. They would never say anything bad. They were squeaky clean, and I was in a place in my life where I was very vulnerable and naive. So I was like, oh, these seem very sweet people. But then, as humans do, I said something offensive, and one of them almost exploded, and I I had to get on their good graces again, and I cried and I begged and all that, and that's where it all began. The whole SJW brainwash that I was privileged, that I didn't know what people were going through, that I was stupid, and that I had to be an ally, and I had to repent, and I had to acknowledge my privilege. But I was a woman, so I had some point. I had the right to say that all men were scum, and that I was an oppressed minority, and that people sexualize me, and that sexism is something that is constant in my daily life. So I became a professional victim because that was a way to get around. You, it was like gambling. You had these chips, and you had the LGBT chip if you were gay. You had the transsexual chip if you were trans, or if you were a person of color, you had the chip too, and the more chips you had, the better. But I only had one chip, which is the woman chip. Therefore, I was not in the high ranks of the SJWs. And that's the thing about SJWs is that they like to turn against each other, which I find really, really horrible if they wanna keep their movement alive, because the fact that they turn against each other, like, no, I have more privilege, no, you do, no, it's just hilarious. But technically, I am a person of color because I'm Latina. My mother is extremely dark, and my sister's extremely dark. So, since we have the same genes, I just got the pale skin gene. Therefore, in their eyes, I'm a person of color inside, but I have white privilege because my skin turned out to be bleached. I don't know. That's what they think. Like, even though my name is extremely Hispanic and I was raised in South America my whole life, I was still a whitey. But anyway, the thing that SJWs do to gain control out of people because they are narcissists is, first, they state arguments based on their own personal experiences. However, those accounts are I always found them very weak. Like, they were either very exaggerated or they were very vague. Like, this person, like, I went through this and it might have been rape, I don't know, but I think it was rape. It felt like rape, so I'm a rape victim. So the more victim chips you had, like I mentioned before, but you also had the rape victim chip. If you were raped, you had that chip in your pile. If you were catcalled every day, you get that chip. So they would find any kind of injustice in their lives and just use it as an argument, which was extremely self-centered, egotistical, because it basically indicates that your viewpoint is the only correct one and everyone else doesn't go through the same things as you do. And they got to me in that aspect. I used my chips, the little ones that I had, because my parents had money that they earned. Like, they were born in poverty, but they actually earned that wealth to give me and my sister a good life. But apparently I was scum for actually having a good family and a good education, and because some people don't get it and I should feel like shit. And I think guilting people into trying to achieve their dreams and get money and get a good education is just wrong. Guilting them, because we need to progress as society, we need to get off the Tumblr blog, and we need to actually work and not whine. And if there's an injustice, you find a loophole. You work at it. You work harder. You don't bitch in your computer and try to get your way and pull a tantrum. And that's what SJWs taught me. And that was the main reason why it made me a very miserable and isolated person. I saw every man as a rapist, a potential rapist. I didn't go out. I had an anxiety attack over anything. And the ideals of the movement are what poisoned my head and what made me a more bitter, anxious, and paranoid person. So it wasn't that I was one to be win with. I was very naive and very friend hungry, but I wasn't that bitter. But the movement actually made me even more bitter. And remembering the stuff I would say to people and the stuff I will police people about, even in real life, it was embarrassing because they didn't want a screaming person to shut them down because they were this XYZ. And I lost a lot of friends because of that. And that's why I'm speaking, because the moment I detached myself from the movement, there was a great fallout with the SJW friends I had. And thankfully, that got me out of it. And I actually went out. I worked to accomplish my dreams. I am now with a wonderful man. We have both a dog, and I'm working on all of my artwork just like how I used to be, and with no worries and no qualms. And if anyone polices me or says that I said something offensive, I just use logic and actual research to counter it, because they're always emotional and they're always trying to shout on the top of their lungs. And there was one thing that one of my SJW friends would constantly repeat whenever I stood up for myself, and that was, it's not up to debate. My feelings were hurt. It's not up to debate. And to that I say, so fucking what? Like, it's not my fault that you're an oversensitive, narcissistic monster that you got offended by me stating an opinion that has nothing to do with what you are, but who you are as a person. And that's the thing, when you criticize them as people, they think you're criticizing their labels. They hide behind these labels like a shield, and that's why they take everything personally. So, to those who are hesitant to leave because they don't want to be bullied or they don't want to be seen as a sexist, racist person, I suggest you to detach yourself slowly and to find what makes you passionate and focus on that. Also, to start socializing with other circles of friends, ones who do accept you even if you mess up, even if you say something that is not appropriate or say something factually wrong, to have friends that will gently tell you and not go for the throat and call you all these buzzwords that make you feel like shit. And that's what it comes out down to. They were not really friends. They seemed more like guard dogs that would occasionally lick me. And that, to me, weren't good people. They were egocentric, highly sensitive, and highly entitled, hiding behind labels and not able to enjoy any piece of media because it might have something that problematic. So that is my story, and I just wanted to share my viewpoint with you because I was there and I was on both sides. And now that the fog has lifted, the SJW fog has lifted, and my eyes are wide open, I am a much happier person and I'm ready to move forward with my life. So thanks for listening.